Welcome to the Nairobi Health Show, everyone. I'm Dave Sherwin, and I've got a really interesting guest today, a little bit different outside the norms of some of the other interviews we've done, but I think one that will really be fascinating to a lot of you. I'm titling this Becoming an Online Fitness Rock Star with director and producer of P90X, Mason Bendewald, who also has done a lot of other things. I'll read his bio in a minute, but first of all, Mason, thanks so much for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Dave.
Yeah, like I said, when your PR firm or whoever it was who reached out to me first about coming on the show told me your topic and who you are, I thought, man, most of my people they're not fitness influencers. They're people who want to be fit. And yet, as I looked at your resume, the amount of people you've worked with, I just saw there could be some really great value because we do have world-class athletes. We've got people who've written books. We do have fitness influencers who listen to this podcast. But most of them are people that are trying to lose weight, be more fit,
Sure.
normal people who are enthusiasts about health and fitness. But I think your message will appeal to all of the above.
I hope so. I think there'll be some fun things in there. I tell some good stories. I would say, I'd venture to say anybody over 25 in your audience, they have worked with a trainer I've trained or done a product or familiar with P90X or Daily Burn or something. I've been doing it for 20 years. So I'm very fortunate to say I've touched quite a few million people.
Yeah, it's really incredible. And that being said, let me read the rest of your bio here. For over 20 years, Mason has helped build top fitness companies and coach trainers to become on-camera fitness stars. He's crafted innovative programs that shattered sales records, beginning with P90X. Mason went on to become Chief Production Officer at Daily Burn and launched the first fitness streaming service of its kind. He built the entire streaming library, creating the most comprehensive modern fitness catalog ever, training 13 world-class trainers, creating 18 programs. He's worked with a bunch of companies you've heard of: iFit, Nordic Track, Fight Camp, Tonal, Title Boxing, Beachbody. The list goes on and on. So Mason, this is going to be a really fun conversation.
I will do my best to entertain.
Well, let's talk about that. And it's funny because I'm also a little bit, here I am doing a podcast, and probably not doing my best on camera and not presenting myself as well as I could a lot of the time. I do this as an act of love. This is like I just love it. I love podcasting. It doesn't do much for my business, honestly. It's not like a direct money maker or anything like that. It's more that I just love presenting great information to my customers. It's a way of just kind of, most of my competitors are supplement sellers who are selling bottles of stuff to people and trying to sell more and more and more. And that's all great. But we're trying to be a supplement company who is providing great information that actually helps people improve their health, whether with our supplements or with fitness knowledge or with nutritional knowledge. So that's the goal here of the podcast.
Noble pursuit, Dave.
But I'm sure I could do better. I don't know what advice you have for podcasters. I imagine it's all, you talk about on camera, right?
Yeah.
And so
well, I mean, I'll jump right in and say, you complimented me on my setup, and I would say the same for yours. One of the biggest things about a podcast, about a fitness video, any of it, is it boils down to entertainment. So some might say, oh, it's supposed to be informational, and I would disagree wholeheartedly. And it's what I've built my career on. I came from a acting and dancing background. I wanted to be a director. I got very lucky and stumbled in to doing P90X. But what I did differently was I say, I don't care about fitness. And I don't really. I've never been, most people are not driven by the thought of it's fun to go to the gym. They're driven by the thought of they want to get results and stay healthier.
Yes.
But we all seek out ways of being entertained to do it. I'll give you a quick example. For me, I did some work for Supernatural, which is a virtual reality game that you play in Oculus Quest, the headset. And so I wasn't that excited about VR at the time, but I was like, I got to learn about this if I'm going to help and consult and work with trainers. So this is now 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And I bought a set And now I'm addicted to, there's a couple different games that I play. And one of them is a table tennis game called 11. And I'm playing with people around the world. And often I will totally forget about time, get drenched with sweat, totally close out my exercise ring and have burned calories and had a great time in the process. And so that's entertainment. I'm getting exercise is the byproduct, but it's the entertaining part. Just like if you went out and played tennis or racquetball or any kind of sport, the byproduct is you're doing something good for your body. So whether it's a podcast or a fitness video, I'll go back to my roots, which is when I approached P90X, I was like, it's only a fitness video. And this is before it was a big deal. And I looked at it and just said, I'm going to make this entertaining. I'm going to make this fun for me. I'm going to make this fun for the trainer. I'm going to make this fun for the audience. And nobody had really done that. It was all pretty
interesting,
robotic, pastelish, cookie cutter, if you will. Jane Fonda was, who's made an incredible contribution, obviously, to the fitness industry. She was one of the leaders at that time. And so taking nothing away from her success, but I was like, that model to me is not something that's interesting. I would never have bought a Jane Fonda workout. But P90X, people literally watched it and didn't do the workouts because they were so entertained. That would be the biggest compliment I would ever get, which always kind of fascinated me at first. And I was like, oh, I get it right. One of the big hints too, Dave, which we'll talk about a little more if there's time, is storytelling. So without me really stopping and talking about it, I created a story. There was tension and drama and surprises within P90X because there was a relationship between the cast that I worked hard to build around supporting the star, and there was interaction between them. So there was fun moments and competition and all sorts of things going on. And it boils down to entertainment.
It's super interesting. And one of your areas of expertise and that you're researching and talking about is how everything's morphing with electronic, with the computer workouts, YouTube workouts, virtual workouts compared to the gym. It's something that I read in your talking points. And I'm very interested in that. I'll give you an example. After COVID, a lot of gyms shut down. A lot of people started working out from home. And now all of a sudden the gyms are opening back up. And recently a really great one opened up near our house, and very high end for a very reasonable price. I was super impressed. My wife and I have always had a gym membership, but interestingly, I ended up getting it, and I joined before they opened. So it was like $22 a month, which is ridiculous, right? They're the cheapest ever price, the way gyms do. And I said to my wife, hey, you ought to come grab this membership. It's dirt cheap, and I think you'll love it. She goes, nah, I'm going to just keep doing Pop Sugar. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Pop Sugar.
Sure. I had content on Pop Sugar. I have lots. So you've got it nailed. During the pandemic, there was a huge surge to online connected fitness, digital fitness, and it really set some groundwork for it being a permanent stop for many people.
Right.
There's also an incredible variety out there online now.
Yes.
But many of us crave, I would say most, crave the in-person experience. So there's a whole experience in going to the gym. If it's a good one, it's a really great experience. Even if it's just, high-fiving somebody that you like seeing there. Could be the clerk, could be a workout buddy, could be that you enjoy getting into the spa or pool. You can't do that at home, but the community aspect is really important. And I'm working with a number of clients now where it's really a hybrid approach. So lots of brick and mortar companies were forced to create a digital component, and they're very much now embracing the idea that both need to exist if they want to survive and do well. As your wife, I would imagine if she did go to the gym, so she's so happy with Pop Sugar, she's not interested in the gym. But if the gym you're going to also had a digital component that was included, she might be willing to give that a shot. That's what most people are looking for today.
That's what you see as being the future, the
100%.
hybrid model.
For at least for brands, companies, brick and mortar, they need to have a digital component. You mentioned influencers. I actually don't work with influencers. I work with trainers. Influencers are a different department. They're like, the 30-second workout. Like, here's this move that's going to change your life. They have a whole different set of goals than a true trainer does, which is more of what your company does, is providing long-term strategies for a holistic approach to health.
Okay, so you're working directly with trainers who are trying to improve their. Is it always online? Is your focus right now 100% taking a fitness trainer and helping them to improve their product?
Well, so sometimes I work directly with trainers, but more often I will. So I have different programs that trainers can work on on their own. But more often than not, I'll give you an example. I just came back, or this summer, I was in Italy working with Technogym, which is the largest provider of fitness equipment, connected fitness equipment in Europe, and actually throughout the world. You'll find them in Major League Baseball gyms and the like. So they're this high-end facility. You'll also find their spin bikes on a yacht versus a Peloton. So it's a high price point for most of their stuff. Okay. Really great equipment. And they had me come over and work with their elite trainers, which have been sourced from the US and throughout Europe. And we all flew in together, and I did a workshop with them to just level them up. They're already great trainers, but there's so few tools and resources to take a great trainer from a gym who might be selling out the class and put them on camera. Everybody thinks, right, if you're great in the gym, let's just put them in front of a camera. Totally different set of skills. Fitness, great. That's a given. And again, I don't care about the fitness part, but performing in a room with the energy of 20 people or 40 people and an incredible curated playlist that is like going to a disco, you're gonna have a great result because you've got all this energy built up. When you go in front of a camera lens, it's all on you. It's one person trying to provide community, connectivity, entertainment, cueing, some sort of, I want to reach through that lens, but I don't have the music and the audience that I normally have that makes me comfortable. Now I've got to learn how to do that just by looking at a piece of glass. It's not that easy.
And so what are some of the common challenges that you find most trainers have to overcome? Like, what are the top things that you often that you just know going into it, you're going to have to change?
Dave. So the typical trainer will walk in front of the camera if they haven't had any training, and they go, "What's up, everybody? Hey guys, how's it going?"
Right.
Now everybody's listening and going, "Yeah, what's wrong with that? That's what the trainers do that I know." The fastest way to alienate or make me feel alone when I'm working out alone at home is to say, "What's up, guys?" or "How's it going, everybody?"
Yeah.
I'm all by myself. And there could be a number of reasons why I'm by myself. It's not easy to get to the gym. It's bad weather. I don't have time. Or, and this used to be the case mostly, is I really don't feel comfortable in a gym for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Usually it's because I'm not ready to be around other people because I don't feel fit enough and I feel intimidated at the gym. So that's what used to be a lot of what drove online fitness. So all a trainer has to do, this is like one of the first things I work on, is eliminate the words everybody and guys and stop projecting as if you're talking to a group of 40. I'm talking to one person. It would be strange if you and I were using the pronoun guys and everybody while talking to each other, even though we know we have a larger audience.
Right.
When you talk to one person as a trainer online, the person feels seen and heard. And it's a very subtle difference. But if I come on camera and I say, I'm so glad you're here, we're going to have a great workout today. All right, let's start marching in place. That
And
it's like, just makes you feel connected more.
It's not so subtle. This is one of my pet peeves at a concert. Okay. You go to a concert and the lead singer starts by saying, hello, Las Vegas. Hello, Utah. Hello, New York.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude,
I came from New Jersey to get here. Right.
Yes,
and you're calling out New York.
Yes. And that's kind of a pet peeve that a lot of lead singers do at concerts. And right out of the gate.
What could they do that would make you feel a little more connected?
You know, I don't know. Just not that, like, just hello. How about just thanking everyone? Hey, thanks so much for showing up. For example, tickets are expensive. A lot of people sacrifice to go see people. And instead of condescending or talking down to them, how about thanks so much for showing up? We're excited to have a great time with you guys. I don't know. You're the pro. You tell me what they should say.
I would say the difference between a concert is it is more like group fitness in that you are a group. So you are talking to a crowd, and usually when a lead singer does that, they do get a huge roar because they feel like they're part of that group and that experience. But I understand your point completely. The thing that I would say about that is another thing that I tell trainers when they get in front of the camera is and I mean this, and this is very shocking because it's hard to get away from. I say, I don't want you to say anything other trainers always say. So, what's up, everybody? How's it going, guys? Feel the burn, dig deep, engage your core, counting, all that stuff. I go, stop doing it. Because if you do that, you're just throwing yourself into the generic pool. And now the follow-up question, of course, is, well, what do I do if I can't do what every other trainer does? And the simple answer is a little harder to decipher, but it's be yourself and bring a lot more of who you are to the table. Your experiences, your day, your family, your loves, your hates, your struggles, all of that information can be weaved into little stories. And the best trainers in my book are trainers that are entertaining. And the easiest way to do it without putting on a show is to level up your personality and really blending part of who you are with cueing a workout. But if you're telling me how to do a push-up, I'm like, come on. It's like when you get on an airplane and somebody's teaching you how to buckle your seatbelt. We all know what a push-up is. Give me 2 cues, elbows out, elbows in, make sure you're not sagging your back. Okay, here we go. But then talk to me about something else that's inspiring, that is lighting up my imagination. And I know that seems crazy, but a great example, and now if you're listening and thinking, this guy's off his rocker, I don't know what he's talking about, go watch a cooking show. Cooking shows are not giving you the basic ingredients and telling you how to mix and bake or fry. They're telling stories. How many times are you going to learn how to make a brunch? They are telling stories. So the next time you watch a cooking show, think about that. They're constantly, whether it's about history of the food, of their family, of their traditions, of why this spice is used, there's always information that's entertaining in there. It's not just, this is how you make cordon bleu. It's a whole history. It's an experience. And that's why we tune in. Anything you tune into has to be entertaining or you tune out.
Okay. Now this leads me nicely into another one of your talking points. And that's how to build community in a digital world. Talk to us about that.
It goes back to the idea of talking to one person and then everybody in your audience feels heard and expressing and sharing a bit of what's going on with you. We all struggle. We all have universal truths, whether it's raising children, not feeling like you want to work out that day, an experience driving to work that was frustrating and you had to like go into your own self to figure out like, why did that get me so worked up when the guy cut me off? It's not that big a deal. Like just sharing that little stuff connects us. It's a way of, and this goes back to the storytelling aspect, is that you create community through shared values, through shared experiences. And even in our very divided political world today, if you don't talk about the political side of things, we're still all connecting on the majority of what we experience in life. And that makes us feel good. And a trainer, more than anybody, as soon as you put somebody on camera, you and I, for instance, are experts. We're authorities. People are listening to us and going, hey, these guys know what they're doing. This is, they're taking our word for a lot of this and going, this is pretty cool. Same thing about a trainer. You put a trainer, as soon as a trainer's on camera, they just assume that they are experts and great at what they do. And they are leveled up to this kind of superhero status. And most people will look at a trainer who looks good on camera, who's fit, and go, their life is perfect. God, I could never be like that. I'm tired. I'm working super hard. I got 2 kids. I never made it to whatever thing I wanted to do in life. But if a trainer shares a little bit about their struggle, boom, there's a connection. I go, oh, Jill is more like me than I realize. She's got 2 kids, and it's not always easy to do her job, even though I would look at her and go, her life is perfect. She lives in California. She's beautiful. Well, if Jill shares a little bit of her struggle for the day, whether it's trying to take care of 2 kids, whether it's struggling to make ends meet because it's been rough through the pandemic, whatever it is, all of a sudden you are bridging that gap, and that builds trust. And when you have trust, you know that people keep showing up. And then the byproduct of that is that your clients get results and you're making more money, becoming more successful because you've got repeat customers, you've got customers sharing and talking about you. It's pretty cool. It's pretty simple, but the hard part is learning how to share while looking at a piece of glass.
Right. Because they're not really there. You're trying to imagine you're talking to this person. Now, who do you think is doing a good job? Give us some recommendations of companies or trainers that you think have really nailed this and that would be interesting to look into for people listening to the show.
Yeah. So Technogym, their trainers are exceptional. And I believe there is an app that you don't need their equipment, so you can use their app. I haven't worked with Daily Burn in a very long time, so I'm not so sure about them. The Platform Studios out of Dubai, believe it or not, is a company I work with quite a bit. They've got exceptional trainers. Fight Camp, Tonal, Box Union. These are all trainers I've worked with, and I really respect because they've taken our workshops and really leveled that up and doubled down. And they really do communicate and reach their audience in a way that most trainers don't, who just kind of yell at the camera. Yeah. That's what I hate. Yeah. Apple does a really good job. I know the people who run Apple. I haven't worked with them, but I've worked with a lot of people who run the productions. And so I respect their work quite a bit.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, and I was wondering if that would come up. I bought the Apple Fit program when it first came out. I mean, within days of them announcing it, I turned it on and tried it out. And as you've been talking, I've been thinking about some of these trainers, and they really follow these rules. Right away. And there's another aspect to this. Yeah. You mentioned let's back up a little bit. You mentioned being uncomfortable in a gym. And some people are just uncomfortable with fitness anyway, just getting started, even if they're in their own home. One of the things I notice about some of the trainers out there, for example, Yoga with Adrienne, you're probably familiar with.
Sure.
With her channel.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
She is fantastic. And she spends a lot of time making people feel comfortable. I think that the Apple people, they spend a lot of time making you feel welcome. It's really crazy. They're just doing it through the camera. They're not there in your room, but they make you feel like doesn't matter what level you're at, you can do this. You can push just a little harder right now. And the wording that they use, I notice that the way they talk is all very affirming. Not I think back in the 80s and 90s when I was really learning about fitness and following different fitness influencers, there's a lot of very challenging stuff. It's all about challenge. Let's do this challenge.
Yeah.
Let's no pain, no gain. It was
that old one. That was terrible.
Old school, very yeah. And today it's much more accepting, affirming, confidence boosting.
Yes,
there's a shift.
I would agree. If you're really good at what you do, I would agree that all of those attributes play a role in making people show back up again. That's my only goal. My only goal is I'm not a marketer. I don't work with influencers. I work with people who genuinely want to change other people's lives through fitness. And that only happens through consistency. And it's only going to be consistent if people are entertained. If you don't have to show up, if you don't want to show up, you're not going to. If you feel connected, if people are getting great information from your show, Dave, they're going to keep showing up. If it gets stale and boring and repetitive, or it's just talking at people and telling them what they should do, there's a million podcasts to listen to. So by bringing on entertaining, interesting guests to your show, by delivering great information, you're entertaining them. And that's why people will keep showing up.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the goal. I tend to be, Mason, my MO is I tend to be a little more scientific. I'm interested in facts. I'm interested in studies. I'm interested in ingredients and what they do. And what you said earlier at the beginning of the show about entertainment and storytelling, and how people don't want you to tell them exactly how to do a push-up. You've just got to, that's kind of my problem. My problem is I'm excited about facts and a scientific study, and that puts most people to sleep. So this is an area.
Well, I wouldn't disagree. I think there is room for, so going back to a food analogy, cooking, there is room for an Alton Brown. You can be the Alton Brown of fitness. He's the science of food, which is fascinating. So if you can make your science very interesting. So for me, what I do is still fact. It's fact that humans connect through emotion and storytelling. That's fact. That's fascinating to me. It doesn't have to be scientific, although I think that is measurable. So it probably is based on science. It still fascinates me it's not just like, oh, I think this is fun. I know it works. That's what I get excited about. And my biggest high, if you will, is when I work with a group of trainers. It's always brutal. There's almost always tears shed, crazy enough, because I'm pushing them through a comfort zone. But the exciting part, it's not in the breaking down, it's in hearing what happens afterwards, where I get, it's usually right away, but then I will also hear years down the line from a trainer who is saying, I was just thinking about you. I thought I'd reach out and let you know I'm now mentoring other trainers, or I'm a better boss because of being able to connect with people, being vulnerable, sharing, listening, all of that stuff. So it's so much bigger than fitness. And that's, again, why I say it happens to be the niche I'm in, and I love it. I'm very fortunate, but it could be anything. It can be a podcast.
Okay, so this issue of when you're training, it can get emotional. Talk to us about that. I mean, what are some of these touch points where people have a realization from what you're teaching that it gets, they're so emotional about it? Can you give us maybe a story or an example?
Sure. So when I work with trainers, one of the big things, and maybe we'll do a little bit with you, Dave, if there's time, is I will ask them to share a story about something that was really hard for them. I'll ask them to talk about a moment in their life where everything fell apart, or they felt like they couldn't go on, or they were misunderstood. Something that's very, very hard and that they haven't shared with many people. And that's where the breakthrough comes. And the reason why I do that is because if you can share that story, then it's really easy to share the simple ones. But what most trainers start off with is the default, oh, what's that trainer doing? That trainer has been successful. I'm going to get out there and mimic them. Hey, what's up, everybody? Okay, we're going to dig deep. This is going to be the hardest workout. You're going to sweat. You're going to burn calories. That's what everybody says. And there's 10 billion of them today. So if you approach with a different point of view, today's workout is going to be a little different because I had a dream last night that reminded me of, this is hard. I've never shared this with anybody before, but my biggest heartbreak I've ever had. And I've never talked to this girl ever since. We're going to start and just closing our eyes, big deep breath in with me. And let out anything that's bothering you today. Okay, let's get into our yoga, and I'll tell you a little more about this as we go along. That's a different workout. That is a different workout than just doing sun salutations. Oh, I'm going to hear a story about Mason's intimate dream / breakup. Who doesn't love a great love story? Like there's something there connected. And ultimately, the best stories come with a moral at the end where I say, and I just shared this one recently. It's a true story. There's one girl I was madly in love with when I was very young, broke up with me unannounced. I was living in New York. She was living in California. There's no cell phones at the time. And she just broke up with me and would not tell me why. And it devastated me. So much so that it took it was a couple years of working through this heartbreak. I mean, she was like, at the time, the love of my life. I thought I'd get married and have a family with her at some point. And what I ultimately figured out for myself was, I'm okay with going through this grieving if it means I can love that strong. And I'm unwilling to give up the opportunity to feel that deep love again. Namaste. Have a wonderful day. I hope you find great love in your life. That's a better workout than just doing deep breathing and down dog all the time. I'm not saying you have to do that for every single workout, but that connects us all. Everybody has been in love. Everybody's heart has been broken at one point. Everybody has struggled with do I put up a shield now? I'm not going to let anybody hurt me again. So my own personal journey could connect somebody. Maybe it opens somebody's heart open who's turned it off for quite a while and been like, yeah, I can really relate to that. Or that's a great thought to have in case I do end up in that position at some point. When you hire a personal trainer, you get so much more out of working out with a personal trainer for $100 an hour than just the mechanics of being led through a workout, which quite frankly, you do not need. Everybody can take themselves through a basic workout. It's there for motivation. And I would argue, most importantly, it is a captive audience for an hour that gets to know you intimately, and you get to talk about all sorts of things. Your hard day at work, your challenges at home, financial instability, whatever it is. And you have somebody who's listening to you, and a bit of a therapist in a lot of ways. It's I would say any personal trainer right now who's listening is probably shaking their head like, oh yeah, boy, I have to listen to Charlie every single Thursday. Mostly he's kind of, working out this problem with me while we're going through the workout. So being able to do that on camera, you really have to, in essence, flip the script and work on yourself a little bit. And then people can relate and connect.
Interesting. So be yourself, be authentic, be vulnerable, tell stories. These are all ideas that are coming to my mind as you talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of going out there and funnel hacking, a term in my industry of
Yeah.
e-commerce, instead of watching what everyone else is doing and copying the best practices, you're saying, no. Take your own skill set, your own story, your own personality, and own it, and just try to connect with the people who are following you. And that's how I'm translating what you're saying.
100%. The only way to be successful, really do well, is in not repeating what other people do. I mean, you can just get by, but the disruption comes when you're offering something that hasn't been offered. That's what P90X did. It was extreme. It was home. It was entertaining in a way that had never been done before. And then all of the years that followed, when I would get a call and somebody would say, hey, we want to hire you because we want to do something just like P90X. First words out of my mouth were, why would you want to do that? It's been done and you're not going to do it better because you can't make it better than the original. I said, I'd love to work with you on something new and bring same thing, bring a bunch of ideas to the table. But the industry keeps changing too. You know, back then things were extreme, an hour. Nobody's doing an hour workout at home anymore. It was also too much talking. People have gotten their attention spans down. And now there's so much entertainment in fitness that you really have to look at what's out there and say, how can I still operate within the boundaries of what people want? But so people wanted to be in shape and work out from home, but there was not a program that offered weight training and all of that. So giving somebody what they want at home, but then reinventing the idea of like, why not do weight training at home with bands or light weights? And today, short workouts, tons of competition. The only way to differentiate and not spending tons and tons of money is bringing your own story to the lens and sharing and connecting that way. And you will find, I say to trainers too, I go, it is great. It's fine. You want some people to say, Mason's not my kind of trainer. He talks about his kids too much. Great. The biggest mistake you can make is saying, I want to try and reach everybody. No, you want to reach your niche. We have, I don't know how many millions of people that work out online today. You just need a small, tiny, dedicated group that say, yes, you're my guy. And the only way to find that audience is to be super clear who you are, not, oh, I can do everything. You brought up Adrienne with yoga. Tell me what kind of yoga she does. Who's her audience? Is it advanced or is it beginner?
I think it's beginner.
It's beginner. It is 100% beginner. She is not talking to, I've been doing yoga for 27 years. She's not talking to me per se. She's not talking about an advanced yogi. She is talking to the every person, the person who's maybe not discovered yoga, maybe who's older, maybe who's out of shape, somebody who wants shorter classes, is entry level. And she's very, very clear about that. And she's got her dog and she's got her very simple set. And she talks about herself and is very, a bit self-deprecating. She's very easy to relate to, as opposed to, I am a superstar yogi that makes millions of dollars and I'm going to school you on how to do the most sophisticated, deep yoga practice because I've studied in India and I've been around. She doesn't do any of that. She literally talks to the lowest common denominator and humbles herself by always talking about the community and being grateful. And it's very easy to relate to. She's, a leader in that field because she did that early and so well and broke down all those walls. And I'll give you one other example because most people know Dwayne Johnson. My thesis is that one of the reasons why he is so successful and doing that, he's like the #1 movie star on the planet, is that if you become a fan and you follow his social media, or you see him with Kevin Hart, he's self-deprecating. He talks about loving being a dad of daughters. Well, he's the most masculine Adonis of our day. He's this huge guy, perfect build, always working out, but he makes no apologies for loving being a father of women, as opposed to, yeah, I'm tough and I've got boys and my boys are tough. And he makes fun of himself and he giggles and he puts on, with Kevin Hart or whoever he's working with. And he's posted pictures of himself wearing, like when he was an awkward teenager with a weird haircut and a fanny pack, a white fanny pack. I remember seeing that. And I go, this is a guy I could hang out with and have fun. And that's your goal as a trainer on camera. And that's your goal if your audience is mostly just, hey, I'm always looking for inspiration to be in better shape. Keep looking until you find somebody that hits that note and you go, that is somebody I could hang with, because that's what you deserve as a customer, is to find somebody who's great. Don't pay for a Peloton subscription fee if you're not connected. I mean, people won't. It's expensive. It's like $39, but people will because they are connected to trainers, because the trainers do a good job and they got great music cues. They pay a lot for their music. That is another big piece of it. But yeah, you deserve a trainer that inspires you, that you feel connected to, that you'll show up again and again for.
I love it. Well, lots of great tips, some great ideas here and inspiration. This has been super interesting to talk to you, although I wonder if you have any closing thoughts or anything we haven't covered that you'd like to just hit on before I let you go.
I don't think there's time for it, Dave, but I would say, I know you're always looking to improve and level up too, is I would encourage you to share some of your stories in your podcast. So maybe it's in the intro, just something about who you are, because we're all interesting and that's how people connect and then they become more engaged. So that and the idea of any of your listeners, you deserve to have a great trainer that you connect with, and go look for the one that resonates with you. Don't just go, this is good enough.
Love it. Well, Mason, this has been fantastic. Thanks so much for taking the time and coming on the show.
Really my pleasure, Dave. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thanks again. And for those of you listening, this is Dave Sherwin wishing you health and success.